Viewed as a cultural technology, the medieval epics known as Bangla Mangal Kavya operated as survival mechanisms for a society under extreme pressure. This high-angle view of the Bengal Delta illustrates the environment that shaped these verses. Life here was dictated by volatile river systems and an agrarian economy that lived and died by the seasons. Large-scale institutional shifts added to this environmental instability. The Jagannath Temple represents the rise of strict Brahmanical Hindu hierarchies, which asserted dominance as the region's earlier Buddhist monastic centers began to decline. Meanwhile, the arrival of the Delhi Sultanate introduced a new political reality. These ruins, with their pointed arches, mark the establishment of Islamic rule, which reconfigured traditional land ownership and control over the agrarian workforce. Disenfranchised by these shifting elite powers, the rural peasantry were forced to construct their own cosmology, a spiritual framework that could address their specific, local needs. This village market, centered around a banyan tree, was the birthplace of the Lokayata Mangal, the people's epic. It emerged directly from the agrarian base to unify disparate villages through shared ritual and verse. Deconstructing this tradition reveals a three-layered system: a historical substrate of local belief, an acoustic interface for transmission, and a narrative payload of sociological rules. These stories functioned as deliberate tools to physically synchronize the community and protect its ideological autonomy from external gatekeepers. To the medieval peasant, threats like snakebites and drought were immediate and visceral. Orthodox Sanskrit texts offered abstract concepts that provided little comfort in the face of these daily dangers. The community responded by elevating local protectors to cosmic status. This terracotta relief shows how deities like Manasa, the snake goddess, were integrated into the religious landscape, bypassing the need for institutional Brahmanical mediators. This Shiva lingam, decorated with common village flowers, shows the resulting fusion. Indigenous tribal cults were absorbed into a localized Hindu framework, granting folk rituals the weight of ancient tradition. By giving their local gods cosmic authority, rural communities created a spiritual system they controlled themselves, independent of the elite priestly class. For a largely illiterate population, this system needed a high-performance delivery mechanism. Itinerant bards, or gayans, used an oral formulaic structure designed for collective participation. This interface relied on the tripodi, a three-line stanza. The poets used variable line lengths of 8 to 12 syllables to create a flowing, melodic cadence that simplified memorization for the performer. The verses used rhythmic syncopation to act as a mnemonic anchor. This pulse helped both the performer and the audience track complex, multi-day narratives across thousands of lines. The poets triggered collective absorption through auditory entrainment. In snake myths, they saturated stanzas with sibilants, hissing sounds, and gradually increased the tempo. This combination of repetitive phonemes and accelerating rhythm focused the group's attention into a singular, shared psychological state. To give the performance ritual authority, the bards injected Sanskritic loanwords into the local Middle Bengali vernacular. This hybridity signaled to the listener that the text was both accessible and divinely sanctioned. These acoustic properties worked together to synchronize a crowd. The poetry was an engineering tool that unified the group's focus and reinforced their shared identity. Inside these rhythmic structures was the narrative payload, a set of mythological motifs that functioned as sociological rules for village life. The cycles of revenge portrayed in these stories acted as an ethical feedback loop. When a human character displayed pride or ignored local religious norms, divine wrath followed, teaching the community to avoid behaviors that cause social friction. Because the punishment was often shown to affect the character's descendants, the stories emphasized that the consequences of breaking the social contract would last for generations. The only force in the narrative capable of reversing this ruin was unwavering devotion. In the myth of Behula, her steadfast chastity becomes a vector that forces the gods to restore life and social order, effectively resetting the feedback loop. This motif enforced rigid gender roles within a patriarchal structure, but it also attributed the community's ultimate salvation to female agency and resilience. The theme of miraculous births also served a political purpose. By linking local protagonists to divine origins, these stories legitimized the power of village leaders and local dynasties against outside rulers. The mythology acted as a social contract. It prescribed the loyalty, required social submission, and collective resilience needed to survive in a volatile world. In the 15th and 16th centuries, the oral tradition reached a tipping point. Scribes began locking these poems into physical manuscripts, like the one shown here. This preserved complex structures, but once etched into palm leaves, the improvisational quality of live performances was lost. These written archives allowed disparate village traditions to merge, forming the foundation of a singular, overarching Bengali cultural identity. Writing turned a localized survival strategy into a permanent cultural record. Mangal Kavya succeeded by integrating the realities of the local environment with rigorous acoustic patterns and sociological lore. This adaptive mechanism allowed rural Bengal to sustain a distinct cultural consciousness through centuries of political and religious upheaval. Bangla Mangal Kavya remains a documented case of how a community can use the internal logic of poetry to protect its identity and survive.